How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the key takeaways from what we saw from the Lakers during the preseason. While these games don't count in the record book, they can be very helpful in building team chemistry, figuring out individual roles, and more. We'll talk about what we learned from what we saw from them in the 4 games, and how that may translate to how they play in the beginning of the season. Again, it was only 4 preseason games, but the things I think we can truly take away from them, and those of which that we're going to talk about, are that the Lakers have a lot more depth than people realized. Talen Horton-Tucker is NBA ready, they may have fixed their 3-point shooting problem from last year, and that we're likely to see Anthony Davis playing a lot more at center if they don't add another center to the team eventually. But the first thing we're going to talk about that I think we learned that the Lakers have is a lot of depth, and I mean a lot of depth. Again, these are only preseason games, but they won all 4 games while primarily playing without Lebron and AD. And for a team that added so many new players to their team to make it work so quickly was very impressive to watch, really. Their chemistry is far from perfect yet, but you can really tell that practically everyone is already settling onto their role on the team. And that's really important when you have a team as deep as they do. It can sometimes be hard to figure out roles on a team that has so much talent, but they seem to be figuring out how to utilize it all. They are legitimately a 12 deep team, and will have a lot of players with arguments to get minutes in the rotation, and that includes a player by the name of Talen Horton-Tucker. We're going to talk more about him later, but I think he really proved he deserves a regular rotation role. Although, unfortunately, it may be difficult to give him one, as they have a very guard-heavy team. Talen was primarily playing at point guard and shooting guard, but when they already have guys like Schroder, Wesley Matthews, Caldwell Pope, and Caruso with cemented roles in the rotation, there aren't many minutes left to go around at guard. It's a good problem to have, especially when there's a possibility of getting impacted by injury or COVID on any given night. Again, it may be hard to give Talen that regular rotation role because of the depth they have on the team, but they won't be hurting at the point guard or shooting guard spot for sure. If anything, they'll have a constant battle between everyone for more minutes. I don't think we'll often see the same point guard and shooting guard on the floor at the end of games for them on an every game basis either. It will depend heavily on the game flow and with whoever is playing best in that particular game. I mean, even a guy like Quinn Cook could make an argument to get playing time even though he didn't play much for them in the prior year. Quinn actually had a very good preseason, and if he can continue to hit 3-point shots at an efficient rate while creating offense for other players, he may have more of an argument to get playing time. I don't think it is very likely to happen with the emergence of Talen Horton-Tucker, but Quinn Cook is a pretty good 3rd or 4th point guard for a team depending on the way you look at it. They were even looking pretty deep at forward too, which really surprised me. Kyle Kuzma looked pretty good overall in the preseason, and he'll be the primary backup small forward in the rotation, but I was also impressed on how well they played in their small ball lineups, where they essentially had 3 guards on the floor at the same time. Oftentimes it helped that Talen Horton-Tucker was one of those guards, as he has the length to defend forwards, but overall they looked a lot more deep at the wing than I thought that they would. Although, their depth at the center position is really the only place left to be desired in terms of depth. Harrel won't be relied on to play big minutes at center, and with them not wanting to play Marc Gasol too many minutes per game, this will likely lead to Anthony Davis playing more at center, which is what we'll talk about next. And while AD really does play really well at center and can dominate at that position, we know it isn't his preferred position, as it has the possibility of increasing his risk of injury. But as of now, it looks like he will be playing there more often than he did last year, and at the very least, he will likely be ending nearly every game at center too. I don't think they'll be trusting Gasol in crunch time much at center, where a lot of teams like to go small at the end of games. AD is already used to having played center at the end of games fairly often, but they shouldn't try and force him to play at center much more than that for the regular season. This is why I think they would benefit by adding another center to the team, and the one I'd like for them to target would be Dwayne Dedmon. Dedmon would give them a lot more depth at center and would fit well on the floor with either AD or Montrezl Harrel due to his ability to space the floor. Along with that, he can play like a traditional center with his rim protection and rebounding ability too, which I think is most important. I don't want to waste too much time talking about why I think they should add him to the team when they're eligible to, as I've already done that in multiple videos already, but I really do hope he's on their radar to bring him in when they're eligible to in mid-January. Next, we're going to talk about the emergence of Talen Horton-Tucker, and wow, it really has been more than anyone could have expected. Talen went from spending nearly the entire year in the G League last year to playing in 2 playoff games to now showing he has a legitimate argument to be part of the regular rotation. And for me, it's not really about how well he's been scoring the ball, even though that has been impressive. It's really been about how confident he looks as a ball handler, his versatility, and his decision making. He only turned 20 years old not that long ago, but yet he's been playing like he's been in the league for 5 years already. He's always looking to attack the rim or to get his shot, but he's also done well passing the ball too. They made a real point of letting him play a point guard a lot, and he didn't disappoint. He handled primary ball handling duties well, and he was a headache to have to defend against. If the opposing team had a quicker, smaller player on him, he could bully his way to the rim and finish in a variety of ways. If they put a bigger player on him, he was too quick to guard, and he could often get to the rim or create his own shot. And we've seen him make a variety of tough shots too. He had quite a few step back shots over his defender from both the 3-point line and from mid-range. I think everyone was really impressed with how well he shot the ball and how easy it was for him to create a shot for himself. He definitely played well above anyone's expectations for him, and he made a real argument to be part of the regular rotation. But finally, we're going to talk about 3-point shooting. The team was very up and down from the 3-point line last year and was never really considered a dangerous team from the 3-point line. But if their 3-point shooting during the preseason can give any indication of what's to come, their identity from the 3-point line may have changed. They shot 50% from the 3-point line as a team during the 4 preseason games, and they made nearly 13 3-pointers a game. In their second game in particular, they shot 18 for 25 from the 3-point line as a team, and that was very impressive. For a team that often struggled from the 3-point line last year, to be showing this much improvement already could mean trouble for opposing teams. The only two guys they had real expectations for from the 3-point line this year were Caldwell Pope and Wesley Matthews. However, if guys like Kyle Kuzma, Markieff Morris, Talen Horton Tucker, and Marc Gasol can each shoot above 35% from the 3-point line too, that would make them nearly impossible to defend. And not to mention that Anthony Davis is growing more and more comfortable from the 3-point line too. He actually shot 38% from the 3-point line during the playoffs, and if that could carry over to this year, that would make him even harder to defend than he is already. Overall, this team will definitely look a lot different than their team from last year. They made potential improvements in a lot of areas, and they have a ton of depth, even more than initially thought with the emergence of Talen Horton Tucker. The only real weakness potentially for them may be the lack of having a third real center, but we'll find out if they address that eventually. But what do you guys think? What do you think was the biggest takeaway from the preseason from the Lakers? Obviously, we can't look into it too deeply, but what do you think was one thing that they really showed us? Let me know what you think by commenting down below, and we can talk about it there. But that'll do it for this video. Thank you to everyone who took the time to watch till the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please remember to drop a like and to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And as always, thank you for watching, and have a great day.